Hello everyone, I'm Mark Suxford and I want to welcome you all to my new podcast called People Behind Brands, brought to you by Making Websites Better. Throughout the series, I'll be opening up my little black book of contacts where I'll be joined by an inspirational guest from the world of business, getting to the bottom of what made them so successful. In each episode, I'll be touching upon the highs and the lows that every professional has faced along the way. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands. Life lessons from the world of business. Our next guests have worked together for over 10 years and provide a complementary partnership for their new business. And More is a leading design consultancy delivering creative solutions for workplaces across Scotland and the UK. Angela Newton and Derek Binnie share the same passion for bringing positive change to office life by creating people-focused workplaces to enhance efficiency, productivity, well-being and more. However, throughout their individual journeys, life for the duo has been testing as they overcome adversities and touch upon the importance of mental health. It's clear to see throughout our discussion that their business relationship has seen them become firm friends as they stride forward into modern spaces. So let's find out more about what makes Andrew and Derek who they are today. Andrew and Derek, welcome to the show. How are you both doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Excellent. Where can we find you both today then?
Just in our office, in the studio down in Leith.
Excellent. So
We're just on the outskirts of Edinburgh, so just to give some context.
Yeah, excellent. So the team at Making Websites Better have been working with More, a leading design consultancy delivering creative solutions for workplaces across Scotland and the UK. We've been working with Angela, Derek and their colleague Pavel for the best part of a year on their new website and digital marketing campaigns as their new company begins to grow. Since working with the duo and their colleague Pavel, we have seen firsthand how passionate they are about maximising space, but also working with like-minded business people who want to grow in their own right. As always, we'll be tapping into their personal lives, challenges, and what makes these people who they are today. So without further ado, talk to us about how you've known each other over your careers and what you admire about one another.
So Angela has immediately just pointed her thumb at me, which kind of is my prompt. So I was involved with Birmingham Rugby. That was my downtime, rugby club in Edinburgh. And Angela, I'm just going to be really unkind here, was one of the young team that would run about at 14, 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm about 10 years older than Angela, but you'll get that. And so got to know Angela then. And probably then about 10 years after that, Angela made contact with me. She had done a product design and had been pretty successful in her own career and was looking for the next step. Yeah. At that time, I was already involved in running a successful workplace design business. So that's how we got to know each other.
Yes, very true.
So in terms of what you thought of Derek when you first met him, Angela, what did you think? And obviously, did you ever imagine that you could be, working with him in a new business today?
I guess I didn't at the time. No, I was. I went to the rugby club to sell pies and then onto the bar and just to hang out with the guys, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I guess I always had an entrepreneurial mind, and I kind of like business challenges. So I kind of was driven to people who had their own businesses and asking questions. So I'm never shy of saying why. It's one of my constant things. So so I always knew Derek through actually my best friend at the time. Her dad's really good friends with Derek. And so we'd always ask for people to read over stuff, or, a lot of the work that I did as an industrial designer was people focused at the time as well. So there was a lot of engagement. So I would always use the club and the people to engage with. So it wasn't actually until I graduated and then I went to do residential design.
Yeah.
And then the recession hit and I went to Derek with an opportunity to do commercial design, and I just said that I knew how to use CAD and I knew everything about space because I always had a good spatial awareness, and I did residential design from the product, so I kind of blagged it if you liked. And then 10 years later I was running the business that Derek started as one of their lead designers. So must have done something right.
Yeah, and the rest they say is history. So with so much experience in the industry between the three of you, what made this year the year you wanted to set up More, and the story behind it?
We've probably got two different stories that just align, if I'm being really honest. I suppose for myself, I cashed out of my previous business back in 2019 before the pandemic. I had a number of other business interests, and constantly kept in touch with a lot of the network that I had known throughout my time within the previous workplace design business. So I was always keeping up to date and always had a passion and an interest about the workplace, how it was evolving. But really, I had no real appetite to necessarily get directly involved again in a business until Angela and Pavel approached with an idea that they had. And over to you.
So I guess from my point of view, I've had two kids, kind of in quick session of each other. So one's 5 now, one's 2.5. So when I went back after Matt leaves the second time, Derek was no longer there, and we'd worked together for a long time, and he led Edinburgh in the Central Belt. So the team had changed quite dramatically. I'd always worked with Pavel, who's the lead architect, so we've always worked very closely and partnered with jobs. But it just felt very different. Part of that was due to COVID, working at home, coming back in from being off for a year. I just felt it felt different. And thought, I'm working from home, the hours are different. Perhaps, I started to explore the opportunity of doing something for myself. And I was talking to a mentor who kind of made me realize that I like working for a smaller organization and directly for people. I don't think I really work in a big organization in terms of, I like working for an individual or working for a client directly. And Pavel and I both spoke about it, and we were going to do it ourselves. And then, as I did back in the day at the rugby club, I rang Derek and said, do you mind looking over a couple of our proposals? Do you think we're being foolish? That conversation happened for a little while, and then all of a sudden Derek said, well, what if I get involved? To which point Pavel and I was like, it's a no-brainer. And it turned around very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
So within 3 months we were.
Yeah, I think the bit for me, just to complete the story Angela has told, is I think the workplace has moved on so quickly, and not just because of the pandemic. And what I think the three of us recognised is that we were a specialist agency, so dealing in the workplace, but everything from that strategy right the way through to the move and the change management, and we have skills in all of those areas. And that was key for me, as well as recognising that we put people at the centre of our solutions. So that was really important, that the three of us were completely aligned on that. And I think there's another final part. I don't know about anyone else, but actually I want to be proud when my friends ask for a bit of help, or I'm able to support a client who pats me on the back. And even sitting, running and being involved in several businesses, there's no better feeling when someone says, that's just a great job, well done. So I wanted back to that environment again, and that with Pavel and Angela working so closely together, I knew they were already delivering that for clients.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are, individually, you're well respected in the industry, but I mean, let's sort of talk about your individual roles within More as a company. So let's start with you, Angela. What's kind of your day-to-day role?
So day-to-day for me is anything to do with design, from anything from space planning, interior design, to marketing, to how the brand comes across. But mainly I'm the people-focused main person, main point of contact, the face of the business. So, so already today I've got 3 or 4 meetings with clients just to understand their brief, get to know them, trying to understand what their ethos and what their objectives are. And then trying to turn that into a proposal document or look at our approach, because we tailor everything very differently for each client. We have a similar strategy and process, but the really nice thing about what we're doing now is we're able to develop that so it's right for the client, and then we bring in the resource or anything that we require for it. So for example, today I had a meeting this morning, and I'll probably do the output of that so the client understands what they're fully getting, and then I've got a delivery of a project at the end of the week, and then we've got a bit of marketing to do, so call with yourself and a bit of planning for December, etc.
Yeah, all makes sense. Yeah, so for you, Derek, I mean, you're obviously a very busy man. So, what's your kind of role at More?
Well, there's a title that sits on my business card called chairman, but that gives out the wrong impression, I think. I think Angela, Pavel and I have worked so long together that really it's a supporting role to Angela and Pavel, who are driving the business forward, if I'm being absolutely frank. I get to ask the daft questions and sometimes the tough questions. Pavel and Angela then frown at me and say, well, it's all right, we've got it covered. So really, from that point of view, fundamentally it's strategy and it's business development. I'm connecting with the marketplace, I'm understanding where challenges clients are facing and suggesting a conversation with Pavel or with Angela. So that's really my day-to-day. And with the other businesses I'm involved in, there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of encouraging people to work together as well.
There's so much competition within your industry. I mean, what would you say? I know Amor are a very sort of new company, but what would you say is their USP?
I think you can't undervalue the depth and breadth of experience from seasoned operators who are continually working to stay ahead of the game, who are anticipating the change in the workplace. I think one of the key things about what And More is about is not only are they focused on people-focused design, but hugely commercially aware. And I make that comment with one focus on the client's budget, not necessarily our profit. So being absolutely candid, we know that there's a cost and a value to every aspect of a project that we might design or propose. So I think that marriage between having the depth and breadth of experience, so being able to take a project from early concept stage, develop the design, keep the client involved, being a key part of every decision-making part of that process, then be able to help them appoint the right contractor, and then to complete the project is really critical. So that in itself stands alone. But that commercial awareness is critical. In my experience, I've seen a lot of very good designers who possibly aren't quite as tight on the commercial aspect of projects, and I think that's a really important part of what we bring to the table.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it sort of sounds that and more, and I know this obviously working with you guys, that you're quite a personable company and very down to earth. So any kind of clients that you talk to seems to be quite a nice relationship there, and obviously that will go forward as you guys grow. But before we move into the more of the challenges to experience personally, one area from a business perspective that we've all been impacted by is obviously the global pandemic. So how would you say that Amor have dealt with the period of lockdowns and generally starting a new business in such what is known as a difficult time?
So I guess we've started kind of as we were starting to come out of lockdown. So we started in July. However, what we're finding is a lot of our clients are still not back in the office. So they've needed a lot of workplace consultancy, a lot of bit of like hybrid working. I think a lot of people are following the norm or what people are saying. So a lot of clients come to us and say, oh, we're going back hybrid. And I'll say to them, well, do you know what that means? What does that mean for your company? Or can you order some furniture? And I'll say to them, well, what type of furniture do you need? Like, how are you going to interact? And we just need furniture. So they don't actually fully understand what they're coming back into. So we're really trying to help them understand that and engage with them properly. So a lot of what we do is kind of split down into stages so that we help them to identify their brief and the feasibility and how much money they might need to spend or want to spend, all their budgets and their project time frame. And then the second part would be it would be like the detailed design and how you might deliver that process. And it can be as little as an engagement with their team, or right through to design process, or being on site, or getting building warrants or planning permission. And then sometimes we don't actually get involved with the client at all because we've offered them some advice that they don't need us at that stage, and we've brought in another partner, or we've given them the people that they need to talk to now. But it's an interesting time, I would say, and the media panic has not helped it. But I think what it has allowed us to do is form relationships. Looking forward to 2022, I think we'll have a busy year, despite any recessions or anything that are due. That people are eager to get back to work and make change. So we're really just a supporting role, but also a creative and a design role. So we're just adapting to what the challenges of the businesses are.
Yeah. So if you both personally are away from kind of the world of work, I mean, how did you both cope in lockdown? I mean, Derek, for you, what kept you busy throughout that time?
I've been working with a number of businesses. I have a number of non-exec director positions in a supporting role to support boards or other directors manage their business. And of course, the challenges were pretty dramatic for many businesses and how to manage change. So, apart from just the workplace and the impact on people, many business owners were facing very unique challenges. So I probably saw a lot of stress firsthand from the people that were actually running and operating businesses. So I was in there supporting that. So it was a very busy time. And I have a small consultancy business as well, which is set up really to support those businesses as well. So on a personal level, I tended to find it was extremely busy throughout the day. But, on a personal level, both my girls are still at home. They're 22 and 24. So invariably, you tend to find that, you're not trying to keep the kids busy. They look after themselves. And there's a bit of fun in the house and a lot of good laughs had during a pretty difficult time. We made our own fun at times.
Yeah. That's what you have to do, I suppose. I think it's all those quiz nights and all those kind of things happening at home. So what about you, Angela? Was it sort of similar for you as well?
No. It was an extremely challenging time. I think the past 6 months have been really refreshing. The year before that, as COVID hit, I just come back from that leave, just went into a business of change, wasn't really finding my feet or feeling like I was fitting in anymore. I had back then a 1-year-old at home with a 3-year-old. I was working full time with 2 kids at home. Yeah, it was really tough. I have to be honest. And I think actually I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I probably work too much because if I thought about anything, it was easier for it to work than to actually deal with the situation. So I think about October, the year before we started thinking about opening the business, I had a bit of a break, I wouldn't say breakdown, on the edge of the cusp, and I thought, what, I need to take a reality check, and I think that's when I started to align all my priorities. So it was a good insight for me, and it made me realize that I was ready for a new challenge. At the same time, it was really challenging.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the aim of this podcast is to focus on more of those testing times and challenges that we all experience during our life. Are there any examples that you can share with our listeners that may have impacted you both, or individually from quite a personal point of view?
I think for me, at the beginning of lockdown, I lost my dad, who passed away after a long illness. And in many ways, I was quite grateful we didn't have to try and help him through lockdown. It would have been horrendous. But equally, I suppose the way people deal with grief in different ways. But I would normally have been out with the boys from the rugby club having a few beers and a bit of a laugh, and that just stopped. So, whilst I kept myself busy, I do think there was a lot of baggage sitting in the background, frankly, which you weren't dealing with. And I think that's probably, and everyone deals with it differently. So that for me was the main thing. And, for me, you become aware that you're also responsible for other people. For Angela, it's different. It's 2 small kids. For me, when my kids were finishing university, and you worry for them. So actually, it's not just about your mental health. You worry for everyone else as well. Yeah.
What about you, Angela? Was there any kind of other examples? Obviously, I know you just touched upon one previous, but is there any other sort of examples that you'd like to share with us?
I kind of changed a lot in come March time. So we decided to move house. And my husband, we owned a restaurant previously about 3 years ago, and we gave that up due to a lease issue. So he was trying to find his own way and find his own place again. And then unfortunately he found a job that he really loved, and then got made redundant. So we were dealing with each other's pressures at the same time. And then we bought a new house, and then we launched the business. So I'm one of these sort of kind of, I wouldn't swear, but like, screw it, chuck everything up in the air. If I'm going to change everything, I throw everything up and then land it in the right places. So I think if anything, I would say to people is like, you know, times are tough, but actually, there's always positivity, and I've got a really positive mindset. So I kind of try to surround myself with positive people. I know that you obviously have to support those who are not positive in life sometimes, but yeah, I think it's really helpful to do that and always not lose sight of a vision. Like Derek said, like, you know, having the girls has really been a good focus for me, because I wanted to give them something that they could look back to and say, you know, like I want to be like my mum or my dad or something like that.
Yeah, it sort of sounds that for both of you, especially you, Angela, as well, that, you know, it's essentially been the making of you, really, isn't it? This pandemic, you know, for good and bad. But it sort of seems that you're both sort of taking positive steps out of that as well. And hopefully we're sort of coming to, you know, the light of these sort of situations, and there's sort of new variants going about. But yeah, it's a positive step for you guys, and especially with the new business as well. That's obviously a real highlight. So in terms of all that all important work-life balance, you know, the company and more, as individuals, I know you're quite big on mental health in and out of the workplace. So how do you both like to unwind after a week of work, or just generally in your spare time?
Well, I mean, the need to unwind, or the idea of unwinding, is that something's been wound up during the working week. And to be honest, I'm really lucky. You know, I mean, I'm sure I made it clear earlier on, you know, there's no pyramid structure anymore. The three of us bring something different to the table. Yeah. Even when we're dealing with some thorny subjects, should we be doing this or that, the other thing, there's always a laugh and there's always a text to each other. And, you know, there's nothing better. I played team sports most of my life, mainly rugby. And there was no better feeling than knowing that you were running out on the pitch, knowing that you were all there for the same reason. It didn't matter if one person was having a bad day on the rugby pitch. You knew they were trying their best, and it's okay, it would get better, and all you can do is support them. So that culture and philosophy is probably really important to me in terms of where I work and how I work. And it's probably one of the main reasons that I cashed out in 2019 from a previous business. Yeah. In terms of, you know, for me, in terms of, you know, what I do, big family, and they all live very close. I'm lucky that the girls live close by us or stay with us, and so they're on hand. So there's always a different conversation. And, you know, in all honesty, do the same thing as everyone else. Out with your mates, couple of pints, bit of chat. When it's been a bad week, you tend to find you're in the pub at 5:30 on the Friday, just having a blather about nothing in particular. Yeah. And so that for me is just real honesty, just a couple of pints and a bit of a chat.
Yeah, that's what it's all about in a way for most blokes, I think. But yeah, sorry, Andrew, go on.
Yeah, no, so I don't really have much spare time, just with having the girls, but we do have a really nice social network. So we often are with our friends at the weekend. We've just converted a kitchen because my husband's a chef and loves cooking. So he cooks a lot, we drink nice wine, and we like to entertain. So a lot of our friends come to our home. So yeah, that's been really nice being able to do that again, and especially with the weather getting colder, the fact that we can do it indoors and heating on, windows open, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that's really nice being able to do that. And like Derek says, I'm not feeling that I'm unwinding as much as I used to do. I don't have that tension or frustration that I used to do come the weekend. And the way that we work at Andmore is we're quite flexible. I'm a creative person, so sometimes I like to work like 8 o'clock to midnight because that's when my flow is. It's quite nice that we can kind of take that time out when we need it and then work when we need to. So I always had that frustration when I was a designer that, you know, I can't turn on my creative flow at 9 o'clock and turn it off at 5. It doesn't work like that. You know, you're either a morning person or a late night, and I seem to be most creative between 8. So I'm really liking the fact that I can, you know, choose when to do the hours, and just now there's quite a good balance. And as we get busier, we obviously need to bring in more resources to support that, to ensure that we don't get snowed under as before. But you know, we're all ambitious, and we're workaholics at like there's no denying that, and I can't deny it. So
yeah, I completely agree. I think successful and forward-thinking businesses, I think, they succeed because they're going to be flexible. And if they look at kind of the next year or, years to come, then I think flexible working patterns are going to be the norm. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. But in terms of your achievements as a business, but also as individuals, what are you most proud of? And what would you say are your big plans for the future?
Go on, Ange.
I don't know. I've got on my notes here that I'm always scared of silence. So my big plans for the future. Do you know, it's really interesting because this whole move has been really natural to us, and we seem to be growing really naturally as well. So I almost don't think the big plans are big plans anymore, because they're just growing. So I guess we want to work on building our team. Like we said before, it's really nice knowing like the rugby club, and Derek was saying you go on the pitch and you're covered everyone. What's been nice is we've grown a lot of partners recently. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about seeing jobs on site, because people at the moment, we're all words, it'd be nice to show people in like a physical manner what we can do.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think Angela really encapsulated that really well. We're not going to measure success by the number of staff we have. I think from my point of view, I think one of the things that we're about it and more is that people focus piece. And, we don't see ourselves being a 30-person studio. We genuinely, we've always talked about a 15-person studio that's really strong in what they do, bringing in the best in class. And I think that's really our ambition is to really make sure that we bring in people with the same values as us. And so that would feel like a success for me. I've already mentioned that my short-term, ambitions and aspirations are for the business to be recognised, by people that I am close to as being truly the company they want to work with. And I know that's a bit woolly, it's a bit of a naff statement to make, but genuinely, there's nothing nicer than someone who you value and respect saying, Billy, what a great job your business did and your people and the people that you work with did as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
On a personal level, just for me personally, I think, I've got quite a bit going on in terms of other businesses, but Anmore is, a key part of that. And seeing what the guys are doing with the business has just been phenomenal. Even the first 6 months has just been fantastic to watch and be part of.
Yeah, it does sound really successful, actually. I mean, if there's one life lesson each of you could give to your younger self or someone starting out and wanting to benefit from your, expertise and knowledge and experience, what would it be?
So I'm going to have to go back to my previous comment of to listen more. So actually, I've got 2 bits of advice. One is to listen more, and the second is it's never as bad as you think it is. And I learned very early, actually, in my career to risk manage your kind of to-do list. And I think that's a really good thing to do. So every time I get really stressed out, I write my list and work out like what are the key ones I need to do and what is the risk involved in them. And it always seems to calm me down and put me in order. And that's just my own personal way of dealing with my to-do list, I guess. But listen more, because you learn a lot more from listening. I seem to do a really good job at listening to clients, but not those close to me. So.
What about you, Derek? What would be your one?
A bit like Ange, I'm going to make a contradictory statement. The first is to pause and reflect. And I'll give an analogy. I used to be dreadful. Not too long ago, getting an email in and reacting to it almost immediately. At 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday night, you'd have an email firing in. It wasn't what you wanted to hear or know, learn about. Excuse me. And I would react to it probably not with having absolutely all the information, or consider, why is that email being sent to me? What's going on with that guy at the other end of that keyboard who's maybe just had to fire something out. So that's probably the one thing over the last few years in particular that I've recognised myself. Equally, I would say the worst thing you can do sometimes is not make a decision. So I've seen too many people prevaricate. And the nice thing about what Pavel and Angela were doing at the very early days of just thinking about the business is they got on and made it happen.
Yeah.
And that's really important. There's a lot of talkers in this world who talk about what they should do, could do, and maybe want to do. But it's the guys that make it happen, guys and girls that make it happen, that actually are successful ultimately at the end of the day. So there's a fine balancing act.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that goes with my my favourite quote: "He who dares wins." So it's sort of a little bit like that, I think.
Yeah,
And it's kind of I think that really sums up Anmore. I think you're daring to do something, and you three are more than just work colleagues. You seem to be very good friends as well. So I think that's what you want, and as a team, you're only as successful as that team that's in front of you. So yeah, I think you guys are doing really well as a really new business. But listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to find out more about you both and showcase your brand to our listeners. But unfortunately, we have to leave it there for today. But perhaps you might like to tell our listeners where they can find out more online, or how they can get in contact if they are indeed looking to reevaluate their workplace.
So we have a website, which is andmoredc.com, and we have all our information there about our services, and we hope to get some case studies up in the new year, which we'll be delighted to share. One of the things we haven't had the opportunity to have at the moment is some visual presence of the projects that we're working on, but hopefully by the spring we'll have some good case studies on there so people can get involved. Otherwise, jump onto our email or email me on angela@andmoredc.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thanks, guys. So we're approaching the end of season 1. So if you haven't listened to all of our previous episodes yet, be sure to find us on all major audio platforms and follow us on social media at Podcast PBB. Well, thanks to Andrew and Derek for sharing their life lessons on the podcast. Join us next time for a brand new episode as we explore more life lessons from the world of business.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. I'd love to hear from you all, so if you want to get in touch, follow us on our social media platforms. If you like what you heard, please rate and subscribe to our exclusive content now. Join us next time for a brand new guest on the podcast as we explore yet more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!